Krishna. So we will begin. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalbharubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to our Saturday and Sunday discussion on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Especially, we are beginning a new series from today onwards, which is exploring Raganuga Bhakti. So before we begin, I would like to just go through some norms for this online class which we are having. So we will be basically, I don't know, some of my laptop PowerPoint is not working properly. Yeah. So we will be having this online sessions and there are some norms. Firstly, the class will be interactive. You can keep your video on, but mute your audio, please. So there is no background distraction for me. I will be discussing few points or few slides, and then I'll be pausing for the audience to ask questions. And if at all in between the discussion, if you have any question, please raise your hand. And after the discussion, I will take up the question. So it will be more or less an interactive session so that it looks more lively, because online classes is really an austerity, So somehow because of this COVID crisis, we have to make the best use of the bad bargain. So that's why we are having this interactive sessions live on the technology which we have today. Kindly use the raise hand button in the Zoom feature to raise your hand to ask questions. I'll be showing you the PPTs as well as sometimes referring to, Nectar of Devotion verses directly from NOD, the Sanskrit verses. And also I'll be discussing the points what Srila Prabhupada has to say and the various acharyas. It is best if you can be on the laptop for discussion for focus study. Try to be in one place so that you can attentively participate in the discussion. best is to be in a place where you're stable, comfortable, free from distractions, so that we can relish this discourses. Try to avoid the mobile Zoom camera, because if you're moving, calls are coming in and out, there is a lot of distraction. Kindly share me your email address and WhatsApp number. Most of the WhatsApp numbers I have, those are participating, but share me your email address. I will send the PPTs and the lecture recordings. And later on, if you have any questions, please post your questions on the WhatsApp number. I will try to answer to my best of the abilities and post the answer in the group so that everyone can be benefited. So this is from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, exploring Raganuga Bhakti. Rup Goswami has composed Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and in the Sadhana Bhakti, there is one portion called as Raganuga Bhakti. After the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and the limbs of Sadhana Bhakti which are discussed, the next topic is Raganuga Bhakti. Now, not only we are studying Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, what Rup Goswami has to say about Raganuga Bhakti, but we are also, referring to Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion summary study. We are referring to the commentaries of Jeev Goswami and Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, which is translated by Bhanu Maharaj. And we will also be referring to Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's Raga Vartmaka Chandrika. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur wrote a commentary on the original work of Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And his commentary is there. And his commentary title is also very, very interesting. His commentary is Bhakti Sar Pradarshika Tika. Bhakti Sar means the essence of Bhakti, Pradarshita, Pradarshani. Darshani means to give darshan, Pradarshani means complete darshan, Tika. Tika means commentary. So that is Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary on the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Also, Rupa Goswami, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur wrote what is called as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. He summarized Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is a very vast work. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu has practically 2,170 verses. So he summarized this entire Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu in the form of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu Bindu, where I think maybe there are only 70 or 80 verses. So within 80 verses, he summarized the entire Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and he titled that as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. Later on, he also elaborated, especially on Raganuga Bhakti, by writing an elaborate commentary or a work called as the Raga Vartmaka Chandrika. So we will be referring to this Raga Vartmaka Chandrika, and we will be also referring to Chaitanya Charitamrit. Chaitanya Charitamrit, Sanatan Shiksha, in the Chaitanya Charitamrit chapter 22 of the Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly teaching to Sanatan Goswami about Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. And based on these instructions to Rupa and Sanatan, Rupa Goswami composed Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in fact. So we will be also referring to the Chaitanya Charitamrita verses in our discussion. And from all these sources, we'll try to get an understanding of what really is Raganuga Bhakti. So the main themes here in our discussion will be this part 1 and part 2. In part 1, we will see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to the best of Kali Yugas. This Kali Yuga is the best among all the Kali Yugas. So we know in a day of Brahma, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, when Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, like that, cycles go on for 1,000 times, Tad Ahar Brahmano Vidu. That is the day of Brahma. And within this day of Brahma, there are these 1,000 cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. And this is governed or ruled by what is called as Manu. And there are 14 Manus who rule in this day of Brahma. And the 7th Manu is called as Vaivasvatu Manu, who is presently ruling now. This is the seventh Manu who is ruling in the day of Brahma. The day of Brahma begins from morning 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the seventh Manu is ruling. Each Manu rules for around 72 Chatur Yugas. 1000 divided by 14 is 71 or 72 approximately. And in the seventh Manvantar, during the reign of Vaivasvata Manu, Krishna once appears in the 28th cycle of Vaivasvata Manu at the end of Dwapar Yuga. And immediately after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in Kali Yuga. So only once in a day of Brahma, Krishna appears, and once in a day of Brahma, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So this Kali Yuga, which is the worst of all the ages for self-realization, but this is the best of the ages because of the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this context, we will be referring to some verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to understand this, especially dealing with Raganuga Bhakti. So this is part one, which today we will be discussing. Part two will be division and the overview of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, because our main theme and topic is Raganuga Bhakti, but we will have a overview and how Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided. We will look into it briefly, and then revising previous concepts of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, especially the definition of Uttama Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and then we will come to Raganuga Bhakti, definition of Raganuga Bhakti, that will be in exploring Raganuga Bhakti. And while discussing the definition of Raganuga Bhakti from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we will be referring to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Eastern Division, that is 1, second wave, that is 2, verses 270 to 308. So from 270 to 308, that is 38 verses, Rupa Goswami has spoken about Raganuga Bhakti. So these 38 verses are the principal verses of discussion in our coming sessions. We plan to have around 12 to 14 sessions on this. So in 2 to 3 months, no, 2 months, we should be able to finish our discussion. No, sorry. In a month, we get 8 classes, 2 months, 16 classes. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 classes. 16 classes, 2 months, we will be having quite elaborate discussion on this Raganuga Bhakti. And while referring to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verses, we will be also referring to some verses of Raga Vartmana Chandrika. We will be referring to some verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani is written by His Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj, where he has very elaborately discussed about pure devotion in the light of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and various other Acharyas' works. And it is a very practical guide on pure devotion. So many of the concepts from this Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, which are very, very relevant, we will be discussing this. So there is some problem with the audio, some devotees are saying. So let me see, I can increase the volume. Hare Krishna. So I think it is better now. So this is the, themes, part 1, part 2, part 3, how we will be having this discussion on exploring Raganuga Bhakti. Now let us come to part 1 today. Now part 1, this is a very famous verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, first chapter, 4th verse. In fact, the first 14 verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita are part of the Mangalacharan. And this verse is a very, very famous verse Kaviraj Goswami composes. And then later on, he also elaborates on this one particular verse as to the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared in this world in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 4. The chapter 4 deals with the internal and later on the external reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. So this is a very, very famous verse. So let us recite this verse. Anarpitam charim chirat karunavatirna kalo samarpayamitum unnata ujjvala rasam sabhaktim shriyam Hari purata sundara dviti kadamba sandipita Sadha hridaya kandare spurata va sachinandana. May the Supreme Lord Hari, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, va Sachinandana, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of our heart, of your heart. Sadha hridaya kandara spurita, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. Purata Sundara Dviti Kadamba Sandipita. Purata means, shining. Sundara Dviti, the golden shining. Kadamba. And it is spread in all directions. Sandipita. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy. Karunaya Avatirna Kalo. He has appeared in the age of Kali because of his causeless compassion, mercy on the fallen souls, to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. Anarpita. Arpita means to offer. Anarpita means which has been not offered. Charim chirat. For a long time, chirat. What is that? The most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service. The mellow of conjugal love. Samarpitum Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Swabhaktim Shriyam. He has come to give this bhakti, pure devotion. And within that pure devotion, Unnata Ujjvala Ras, the topmost. So it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord gave that special ras which is available only in Golok Vrindavan, which is in exchange of the pure devotees and the Lord in four different moods: Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. But especially in this verse, Kaviraj Goswami is making it clear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually came to give the highest among these four, that is the Madhurya Ras, the mellow of conjugal love. And that is why it is called as Unnata Ujjvala Ras. And this is how Rupa Goswami also, although in Akhila Rasamrita Murti, that is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Lord is the connoisseur of all rasas, but the highest rasa is the Madhurya Ras, which, is conjugal love between the gopis and Krishna, that is unwedded love, which is there in Vrindavan. Parikiya Bhava Vrajete Prachar, Parikiya Bhav. This is called as Parikiya Bhav. There is Swakiya Bhav, that is the wedded love between Krishna and the Maheshis in Dwarka, the queens of Krishna. But this unwedded love, conjugal love, which we call, which is called as Parakiya. Parakiya Rasa Vrajete Prachar, as Narottam Das Thakur says. This is actually what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. And this is also the whole focus, if you see in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which we will bring out while we'll discuss, Raganuga Bhakti. So this is the famous verse, and this is like the Mangala Charan for us today for beginning this Raganuga Bhakti series. Srila Prabhupada has given very philosophical and very systematic understanding on the explanation of this verse, and we would like to go into that. So let us go into Srila Prabhupada's explanation of what he has to say about this verse. Srila Rupa Goswami, a confidential devotee, taught for more than 10 days continually by Lord Chaitanya wrote. So Srila Rupa Goswami was taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is called as the Rupa Shiksha, 10 days in Varanasi on the Dashashwamedh Ghat. He was given instructions on Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Prant. Prant means the pinnacle. Shabha Shikhaila Prabhu, Bhagavatara Siddhant. All this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught based on the conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam. So after hearing this, what does Rupa Goswami says? Rupa Goswami actually prays to Lord Chaitanya and he says this verse. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratveshe Nama. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Nama, Krishna Chaitanya, who is the Supreme Lord, Krishnaya, he is Krishnaya, who is more magnificent than any other avatar. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Why? Because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given. Krishna Prema Pradayate. He is Krishna, but Gaura Tvishenama. But he is having the Kanti of, the resplendent golden form. Gaura Tvishe. Tvishe means the Kanti. He's having the bodily complexion of Gaur. What is that he is giving? Pure love for Krishna. Krishna Prema Pradayate. So this is the prayer which Rupa Goswami offers after hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the entire conclusions or the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami, and which Rupa Goswami later on elaborated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In fact, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in summary, you will find in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Rup Shiksha, which is chapter 20. And then 21, 20, 22 and 23 deal more. In Sanatan Siksha also it is there. So this is Rupa Goswami's prayer. Lord Chaitanya's teachings begin from the point of surrender to Krishna. So where does Lord Chaitanya begin? Sarva Dharman Parityajya. That is where he begins. He does not pursue the paths of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, but begins at the end of material existence, at the point where one gives up all material attachment. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and then comes to Bhakti Yoga, and then at the end, the topmost, Bhakti Yoga is to surrender unto me, But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly begins from where? Surrender to Krishna, the highest teaching of Krishna. Directly from there he begins, where one gives up all attachment, all material, and Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharnam Vraja. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna begins his teachings by distinguishing the soul from matter. And in the 18th chapter, he concludes at the point where the soul surrenders to him in devotion. So Bhagavad Gita begins with Arjuna surrendering to Krishna, and then Krishna gives Atma Gyan, analysis between matter and spirit. And from there on, he takes Arjuna to the pinnacle where the Atma surrenders to Krishna out of pure love and devotion. So that is 18.66. So from 2.7 in Bhagavad Gita, the teaching culminates in 18.66, where the soul surrenders completely to Krishna out of pure love and devotion. The Mayavadis, here I am having a problem with the PowerPoint presentation because I'm not able to see. Just a minute. So I will again share the screen. I will just, I'm not able to, there is some technical problem with the taskbar. It is not functioning. So I'll just directly read here. The Mayavadis would have all talk cease there. But at that point, the real discussion only begins. So Mayavadis, ultimately their pinnacle of their philosophy is what? That, you should completely become free from material desires and you should become Maun. But real discussion begins where? When surrender happens. This is Raya Ramanan discussion with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eo bhai. When he says, Jnane prayasam udapasa namante, then Krishna says, Eho hai, aage ka aur. This is right. Now tell me. So real discussion begins with surrender in loving devotion to Krishna. So that's where real surrender begins. That is what Prabhupada is commenting here. Now, let us see what Prabhupada has to say. Sorry, again, I'm having this trouble. How to set this? I don't know. Let us see, try. Okay. As the Vedanta Sutra says at the very beginning, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now let us begin to inquire about the supreme absolute truth. Rup Goswami thus praises Lord Chaitanya as the most munificent incarnation of all, for he gives the greatest gift by teaching the highest form of devotional service. In other words, he answers the most important inquiries that anyone can make. Athato Brahma Jigyasa means I am spirit soul. But the highest inquiry, Athato Brahma Jigyasa from a devotional perspective means when the soul surrenders to Krishna, what is the soul's dharma? Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. The jiva has to offer loving devotion service to Krishna. So inquiring about devotional service, especially pure devotion, that is the highest Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So this, in other words, answers the most important inquiries that anyone can make. So the highest inquiry is to inquire about Braj Bhakti, how the Vrajvasis perform devotional service to Krishna. That kind of inquiry is considered as the highest inquiry here by Srila Prabhupada. There are different stages of devotional service and God realization. Strictly speaking, anyone, sorry, anyone who accepts the existence of God is situated in devotional service. So here, Prabhupada is giving a very broad understanding of bhakti term. The term bhakti has a very broad understanding. Anyone who takes to self-realization, you should consider him as a devotee. That is how Prabhupada is giving the definition here. And even in the 64 explanations of Atmaram to Sanatan Goswami by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there also this broad explanation is given. So Prabhupada is giving a very broad understanding of what is devotional service. Anyone who starts beginning, analyzes the difference between matter and spirit, he might be performing karma yoga, but there is some small bhakti element in it. So he is a one sense a bhakta. Somebody might be pursuing the path of Gyan Yoga, but there is some bhakti element, and that is why, because that bhakti element is there, he is able to attain perfection in his Gyan path. It is only bhakti element which gives perfection in his Gyan Yoga. Even in Mastika Yoga or the Ashtanga Yoga, there is some bhakti element. So that is why Prabhupada is giving a very broad definition that anyone who accepts God is situated in devotional service. To acknowledge that God is great is something, but not much. Lord Chaitanya, preaching as an acharya, a great teacher, taught that we can enter into a relationship with God and actually become God's friend, parent, or lover. So here Prabhupada is coming to that point of anarpitam charim chirat. So Lord Chaitanya is not just saying, oh, God is there, God is very great. This is, a mystic yogi's vision. God is very great, I am tiny. So there is just admiration of God. So there is no love where there is service. Only bhakti begins with service where there is devotion. And not only that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come us to teach where we can become God's friend, Saka, God's parent, like Mother Yashoda and Nand Maharaj, and God's lover. So here, again I have to, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna showed Arjuna his universal form because Arjuna was very dear friend. Arjuna is also a Saka of Krishna. He's a friend. Bhakto semi Saka cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. Bhagavad Gita 4.3 it is saying. So Arjuna is also a friend of Krishna. And Arjuna was shown the universal form. Upon seeing Krishna as the Lord of the universes, however, Arjuna asked Krishna to forgive the familiarity of his friendship. So we know in the Bhagavad Gita in the 11th chapter, please forgive me for, sometimes I have offended you, pramadat, pranayat, out of madness or out of friendship, so please forgive me for that. So Arjuna forgot that, at that moment when he saw the Vishwarup, that, Krishna is my friend. Oh, Krishna is the Lord of the universe. So Arjuna's friendship somehow, became little shitil. Shitil it is called in Sanskrit. It somehow came down, and his awareness that the Lord is the Lord of the universe, he is Bhagavan. So that kind of Aishwarya Gyan came in, and he forgot his intimacy which he had with Krishna as his friend. Lord Chaitanya goes beyond this point. Through Lord Chaitanya, we can become friends with Krishna, and there will be no limit to this friendship. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned Arjuna is also friend of Krishna, but his friendship is called as Gaurav Sakyaras. Gaurav Sakyaras. Sakya means friendship, Ras means relationship, and there is Gaurav. Gaurav means there is, awe and admiration. Arjuna is aware that Krishna is supreme, and Arjuna has this knowledge about Krishna, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That's why many times he prays to Krishna. He prays to Krishna in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He prays to Krishna in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavatam, when Ashwatthama releases the Brahmastra, and he prays, "Oh, you are the Ishwar, Param, please, tell me what to do in this situation." So there is awe and reverence, and there is acknowledgement that God, Krishna is God. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced that Sakyaras where there is no such awe and reverence. There is only sweetness. Krishna is my friend. That's it. That is the only relationship I have with Krishna, and there is so much intimacy in this friendship. We will see some verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the friends of Krishna climb on Krishna like Sudhama and Sridhama. There is another Arjuna in Vraj pastimes. He is also Arjun, but he has Vishrambya Sakyaras. The Arjuna of the Bhagavad Gita, his Sakyaras is Gaurav Sakyaras. Gaurav means there is, respect that, he is my Lord, although there is very intimate exchanges which happen between Arjuna and Krishna. They sit together, dine together, sleep together, and sometimes Arjuna out of friendship pats Krishna, So this is kind of intimacy Arjuna relishes with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, but there is some Aishwarya Gyan there. But the Sakas of Braj, it's like Sridhama, Subhal, and I was mentioning that Arjun, there is another Arjun. They, they don't consider Krishna to be God. They consider only Krishna to be their friend. And this is called as Vishrambya Sakyaras. Vishrambya means very deep intimacy. That is the kind of friendship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced. We can become friends of Krishna not in awe or adoration, but in complete freedom. So this is the Vraj Sakyaras, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. We can even relate to God as his father or mother. This is the philosophy not only of Chaitanya Charitamrita, but of Srimad Bhagavatam as well. In fact, it is Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, Krishna's pastimes, all these come out. This is the kind of ras, Braj ras, which Krishna also has come to give. There is no other scriptures in the world in which God is treated as the son of a devotee. Usually, God is seen as the Almighty Father who supplies the demands of his sons. God, oh God, give me my daily bread. So this is the prayers. When we are in trouble, we go to God to relieve us from distress. So we understand God's supremacy. But the Vraj Bhakti, where in Vatsalya Ras, God is completely dependent on his devotee like Mother Yashoda or Nand Maharaj for his maintenance, and he's helpless. Prabhupada says the great devotees, however, sometimes treat God as a son in their execution of devotional service. That is Vatsalya, Bhakti. The son demands and the father and the mother supplies. And in supplying Krishna, the devotee becomes like a father or a mother. Instead of taking from God, we give to God. So this is how Braj Bhakti is. It was in this relationship that Krishna's mother Yashoda told the Lord, "Here, eat this or you will die. Eat nicely." Mother Yashoda is telling Krishna, "Eat, otherwise you will die." Krishna is unborn, he is supreme, he is eternal. There is no death for Krishna. But out of pure Vatsalya Prem, affection, Mother Yashoda is to treat Krishna like this. So this is how Vatsalya Ras is. In this way, Krishna, although the proprietor of everything, depends on the mercy of his devotee. This is a uniquely high level of friendship in which the devotee actually believes himself to be the father or the mother of Krishna. However, Lord Chaitanya's greatest gift was his teaching that Krishna can be treated as one's lovers. Now, here Prabhupada is coming to the actual explanation. He has given Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras. Now he's speaking about Madhuryaras, that is conjugal love, lover, between the lover and the beloved. You know, so Anarpitam Charim Chirat Karuna Avatirna Kalo Samarpayamitum Unnata Ujvalaras. So this Unnata Ujvalaras, now Srila Prabhupada is giving the explanation. In this relationship, the Lord becomes so much attached to his devotee that he expresses his inability to reciprocate. So this is how he told the gopis that your loving devotion, I cannot reciprocate. You know, Krishna was so obliged to the gopis, the cowherd girls of Vrindavan, that he felt unable to return their love. I cannot repay your love, he told them. I have no more assets to give. So in the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. So if a jnani wants to merge in the impersonal Brahman and practices the Gyan path, so Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante. Okay, you want to merge in me? You practice Gyan path, I will reciprocate by merging yourself. I'll merge you in my impersonal body. If the Mayavadis, think the Lord body is made of Maya, Krishna reciprocates by giving them bodies made of Maya, so they remain in the cycle of birth and death. And for the devotees, if they practice bhakti, Krishna will reciprocate. But the bhakti, the prema bhakti practiced by the Vraj gopis is so selfless, so pure that Krishna says he cannot repay. I have nothing, I have no assets to repay. I'm bankrupt. That's what Krishna says. So ye yata mam prapadde verse fails. Krishna cannot, reciprocate back, in this case. Just like, sometimes you have a high speed vehicle like a BMW or any Ferrari car, and you start racing this car, the more you press the accelerator, the more the engine and the car wheels run faster. But at a point when you lose control of everything, the brakes, accelerator, the wheels also come out. The more you try to press the accelerator, nothing is happening because the wheels have come out. That speed, the car or the Ferrari is moving. Similarly, that depth is the devotion of the Vraj gopis, prema bhakti that they practice, that Krishna is helpless and he cannot reciprocate. Devotional service on this highest, most excellent platform of lover and beloved, which had never been given by any previous incarnation or acharya. Anarpitam charim chirat, this is what Prabhupada is claiming, was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Kaviraj Goswami, quoting Srila Rupa Goswami, writes in the 4th verse of his book. So this is the 4th verse which we recited. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna with a yellow complexion. Hari Purata Dutiya Kandipita. He is Sachinandana. As we had said, Va Sachinandana, the son of Mother Sachi. He is the most charitable personality because he has come to deliver Krishna Prem, unalloyed love for Krishna to everyone. So he has come to give highest Krishna Prem, that is, in the footsteps of the Vraj gopis. Srimad Bhagavatam also substantiates this. There is the famous verse, Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajatanis Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachito Pahasana Vrajavado Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatrartana Paraha. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajatanayas. For us, the most worshipable Lord is the son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna, Sham Sundar Krishna, Vraj Krishna, Tadhama Vrindavan, and his abode is Vrindavan. And the most best type of worship which we should do is what? Ramya Kachita Upasana Vrajavadu, the cowherd girls, of Vrindavan, how they worship Krishna. That is the kind of mood of worship we should follow in the footsteps of the Vraj Gopis. And where is the proof? Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Amalam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the proof, 10th canto. And what is the goal? Prema Pumarto Mahan. The goal is to attain Krishna Prem. Who has said this? Sri Chaitanya Matamidam. It is the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who has come to give us this charity. Most Karuna Avatirna Kalo. May you always keep him in your heart. Sadha Hridaya Kandara. It will be easy to understand Krishna through him. So if you want to understand Krishna, it is only by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is there in the introduction, originally delivered as 5 morning lectures on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the introduction given by Srila Prabhupada, which was basically the transcription of his lectures on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And paragraph 17 to 20, I guess, discuss this introduction based on Anarpitam Charim Chirat. So that's what I discussed now. So any questions do you have regarding what we discussed about this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita? You can raise your hands, and if you have any questions, we can take up. Okay, so there are a few more verses to be discussed from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which are connected to Raganuga Bhakti. So we will take up that and then we will continue our discussion. Now, as I mentioned, this is there in the 4th chapter of Adilila, Anarpitam. Then the primary 2 purposes why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world is mentioned in this verse. Beautiful verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prema rasa niryas karite aswadana Ragamarga Bhakti Loka karite pracharana Rasika Shekhara Krishna Parama Karuna Eidui Hetu Haite Ichara Udgama. The Lord's desire to appear was born from 2 reasons. Eidui Hetu Haite Ichara Udgam. What are the 2 reasons? The Lord wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God. Prema Rasa Niryas Karite Aswadan. He himself had come in the role of a devotee as to what my topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, relishes. What is the attraction she sees in me? And what is the, relish she herself relishes in that? And what is the happiness she derives? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the mood of Srimati Radharani, the Kanti and the Bhav, and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is Krishna himself who appeared in Gaura Kanti. And this Prema Ras, all devotees who are pure devotees, who are situated in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha world, all are pure. They have devotion, Prema, towards the Lord. But there is gradation. In the Vaikuntha, it is more, as I told, Aishwarya. In Ayodhya, there is little bit Aishwarya, and we see the Swakiya Ras between Sita and Ram. But there is more Dasya Ras ways which we see in Hanuman. But the highest is in Golok. There is the Prema Ras between the Dasas like Raktak and Patrak. There is the Sakya Ras between Sridhama and Sudhama. There is the Vatsalya Ras between Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And the highest Madhuri Ras, Gopi's love for Krishna, is the highest Prem Ras. This Prem Ras, Niryas means the topmost. That is there in the highest Gopi, the topmost Gopi, Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to relish that, Aswadan. So this he himself relished. And what did he do? Raga Marga Bhakti Loka Karite Pracharan. And he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. So this Rag Marg Bhakti is what is, practiced by the Vrajbasis in the spiritual world. We will come to, when we discuss the terms, what is, Raga Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, and what is Rag. Things will become more clear. But right for now, it is suffice to understand this Rag Marg Bhakti is practiced by the eternal associates of Golok Vrindavan, the Vrajbasis. Raga Bhakti it is called in these four mellows, and the topmost is Madhurya. Thus he is known as the supremely jubilant and the most merciful of all. Rasika Shekara Krishna Parama Karuna. He is called as Rasika Shekhar. Rasika Shekhar means the topmost, Shikhar as we say, no? He is the relisher of rasa. So Krishna has many names, and one of the names is Rasika Shekhar. He is also called as Rasraj. He is also called as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. That is a term used by Rup Goswami in addressing Krishna in his Mangalacharan. In Juhu, there is the Radha Ras Bihari. So like that, Krishna is what? Rasika Shekhar, and he is Parama Karuna. So based on these two reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, then there are the internal reasons of why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Now let us go into few of the verses further in this Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is this Prem Ras, which is the highest, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to relish? Let us see that. During the period of Lord Krishna's appearance, the killing of asuras or non-believers such as Kamsa and Jarasandha were done by Vishnu. Prabhupada's purport for this, who was within the person of Krishna. So when Krishna comes, all the incarnations also there. And the killing of asuras is not actually done by Krishna. It is Vishnu within Krishna who does the killing of asuras. That is the job of Vishnu. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Krishna simply sports with his devotees in Vraj. That is Krishna's business. Killing of asuras is not Krishna's business. Such apparent killing by Lord Krishna took as a matter of course and was incidental activity for him. But the real purpose of Krishna's appearance was to stage a dramatic performance of his transcendental pastimes at Vrajbhumi, thus exhibiting the highest limit of transcendental mellow in the exchanges of reciprocal love between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. These reciprocal exchanges of mellows are called Raga Bhakti. As I was explaining the definition, Raga Bhakti is what? The loving exchange between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul in the eternal world, that is Golok Vrindavan, in any of these four mellows, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Lord Krishna wanted to make known to all the conditioned souls that he is more attracted by Raga Bhakti than Vaidhi Bhakti, Vidhi Bhakti. Vidhi Bhakti is practiced in Vaikuntha or devotional service under scheduled regulations. It is said in the Vedas, Taittiriya Upanishads, Raso Vaisyaha, the absolute truth is the reservoir of all kinds of reciprocal exchanges of loving sentiments. Raso Vaisa means in the Jiva, in the conditioned state is relishing rasa in the form of mundane taste like mango ras, and the relationships in this world of father and son, husband and wife, and friends like that. This is at the mental platform. But the real spiritual eternal rasa is between the soul and the Supreme Soul. That is on the transcendental platform. So Lord Krishna is Raso Vahisaha. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all kinds of such loving reciprocations on the spiritual platform or the transcendental platform. He is also causelessly merciful and he wants to bestow upon us this privilege of Raga Bhakti. So this Raga Bhakti, which is practiced by the Vrajbasis in Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, this Bhakti, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to bestow upon us by his causeless mercy. Thus he appeared by his own internal potency, internal energy. He was not forced to appear by any extraneous force. So this is how Prabhupada comments on this. Now, what is this Prema Ras Narayas? What are the different rasas? Let us see the further verses 17 and 18. Aishwara Gyanite Saba Jagata Mishrita Aishwara Shitila Prema Nahi Mora Prita. This is Krishna speaking. Krishna himself is revealing his mind, and Chaitanya Charitamrita Kaviraj Goswami is recording. What is Krishna thinking? Krishna is saying, Lord Krishna thought, all the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty. Aishwara Gyanite, Krishna, oh, Krishna is Prabhu. Narayan is Prabhu, I am Das. He is our Swami. I have to serve him as a Das. But love weakened by that sense of majesty. Aishwarya Shitila Prem. There is also love. I told you in Vaikunt also there are also Premi Bhaktas only. But their prema is mixed with Aishwarya. Aishwarya Gyan of the Lord, that Lord is master, I am his servant. Aishwarya Shitila Prem, Nahi Mora Preet, does not satisfy. I don't become satisfied by it. Amara Ishwara Mane, Apana Kehina, Tara Prema Vasha, Amina Ahaya Adina. If one regards me as a supreme Lord, Amara Ishwar Mane, and himself as a subordinate, Apane ke Hina, I am the servant. मैं तो तुच्छ दास हूँ. I am just a kinkar. I am a servant of Krishna or the servant of Narayan. I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. So two things are there. Tara prema vasha amina. I don't become controlled by that love. Hoya adhin. I don't become subservient, nor I become controlled by it. So in the entire Ramayana, Lord Ram becomes very much pleased, especially by the efforts of Hanuman, who found out where Sita was, and got that message. And I don't know, it is that time or after the battle that once, out of intimacy, Lord Ram hugged Hanuman, and Hanuman could not tolerate it. I am just a servant. I have to be at a lotus feet. You cannot do this to me, oh Lord. So that was, apaneke hina. I have to just serve the Lord. He's Prabhu, he's Swami. I cannot have this kind of intimate exchange of embrace. So this is only once it is there in Ramayana. We have seen this photo, but this was Hanuman's mood. Hanuman wanted to come out of the Lord's embrace, Lord Ram's embrace, because he found himself, how can the Lord, who is my master, how can he, embrace me? I have to be at his lotus feet. So that is the mood of that devotee who has this Aishwarya Gyan. And this kind of mood, when it is there, Aishwarya Gyan, Tara Prema Vashan Amina, I don't become controlled by that devotee. Hoy Adhina, I don't become controlled by it. Adhin nahi hota. I don't become subservient to such love. This is Krishna speaking. Amake te ye bhakta bhaje ei bhave, Tara se bhave bhaje ei mora swabhave. In whatever transcendental mellow my devotee worships me, I reciprocate with him. That is my natural behavior. Ei mora swabhava. Amake ei bhakta bhaje ei bhave. Transcendental mellow my devotee worships. Tara sei bhave bhaje. I reciprocate. This is Krishna. Krishna is speaking here. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. This is the verse Krishna is speaking here. Mama vartmanu vartante manusha partha sarvasha. If somebody, worships the absolute truth as Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, so Krishna reciprocates. If somebody worships Krishna as a super soul, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. If somebody reciprocates Krishna, is that I am the servant of Krishna, Krishna is my master, as in the Vaikuntha, which is prominent, Krishna will reciprocate. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Mora putra mora saka, mora pranapati, ei bhave ei mora kare shuddha bhakti. Apana ke bada mane, amara samahina, sehi bhave hoya ami tahar adina. So he doesn't become adhin by Aishwarya Bhakti, what he, Krishna, presented previously. But what Bhakti, Krishna becomes subordinate, he is mentioning here. Mora putra, mora saka. If one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, as Mother Yashoda thinks, of friend, Mora Pranapati, or his beloved, regarding himself as great, apane ke bada mani, and considering me his equal, Amara Samahin, or inferior. Sometimes the Lord is considered inferior by his friends also. I become subordinate to him. Tahara Adina. Sehi Bahave Hai Ami Adhin. So this is by which I become controlled by my devotees. So this is the kind of bhakti which is practiced in Braj, and this is the kind of bhakti Krishna came to give us. And there is here Putra is in Vatsalya Saka is in Sakya Pranapati is in Madhurya here. These are the different emotions by which Krishna comes under the control of his devotee. Now one reference Kaviraj Goswami is giving here. Mai bhaktirhi bhutanam amrit taya kalpate dhishtya yad asin mat sneha bhavatanam mad apah. Devotional service rendered to me by the living beings revives their eternal life. Mahi bhaktirhi bhutanam. When bhakti is performed by living entities, amritaya kalpate, it revives their eternal life. Somo amritatvaya kalpate, as it is mentioned in 2.15 of Bhagavad Gita. My dear damsels of Raj, your affection for me, mat sneho, is your good fortune, tishtayad, for it is the only means by which you have obtained my favor. Bhavatanam mad apaha. So Krishna is here actually when the gopis, when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura and later to Dwarka, once he had come to Kurukshetra on the solar eclipse day, and even the Brajvasis had come, and especially the gopis once again met Krishna, and Krishna here is speaking this verse. It is at this context in the 10th canto, 83rd chapter, Krishna is speaking this verse that, you have conquered me. It is your good fortune that you have developed pure affection for me, by which I have, uh, come under your control, and you have obtained my real mercy and blessings. So this is what Krishna is speaking here in this verse. So further, माता मोरा पुत्र भावे करे बंधन अति ही न ज्ञान करे लालन पालन. Mother sometimes binds me as her son. This is in the Damodar Leela pastime. She nourishes and protects me, thinking me utterly helpless. So Krishna, who maintains all the universes, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, he's completely under the control of Mother Yashoda, and Mother Yashoda feels that he's helpless. If I don't feed him, he'll become weak. So this is the pure affection in Vatsalya Bhava of Mother Yashoda, and this controls Krishna. Shaka Shuddha Sake Kare Skande Arohan Tumi Ko Na Bada Loka Tumi Amasama. Now here it is very interesting. Saka means friends. Shuddha Sake Kare. So there is Saka who are in Sakyaras. But the word here is used as Shuddha Sake, pure friendship. So there is also Arjuna's friendship I was mentioning with Krishna. But that friendship I mentioned, it is in Gaurav Sakyaras. There is awe and reverence. But in Vraj friendship, there is Shuddha Sakyaras, where the Sakas of Krishna, Skande Arohan. We know that when Krishna and his friends play in the forest, Krishna sometimes loses, and he really loses. It's not that, he exhibits how he is supreme and, he can control all the universes. No, he really loses in the match. And then when Krishna loses, then his friends climb on Krishna. Arjuna doesn't play with Krishna. Arjuna has good friendship with Krishna, but he doesn't play with Krishna, and Arjuna doesn't climb on Krishna. But the sakas of Krishna in Braj, because of Shuddha Sakya Ras, Skande Arohan, and what they say, Tumi Kon Bada Lok. What kind of a big man you are? You and I are all equal. Tumi Ami Sama. So this is the pure Sakya Ras of the Brajbasis, which Krishna relishes and comes under the control of this kind of pure Sakya Ras, or pure Prema Bhakti in Shuddha Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti in Sakya Ras. When Krishna lifted the Govardhan, all the devotees' eyes were on Krishna. The Vraj gopis were able to relish Krishna's beauty. Mother Yashoda was worried, oh, he must be feeling weak, I should feed him butter. The friends of Krishna were nicely having pranks and jokes. And Madhu Mangal, who increases, the Hasiras, Madhu Mangal was holding his, stick, and he was telling Mother Yashoda, don't worry, this hill, Krishna is not holding it. It is I, my Brahmana mantras and tejas, just holding the stick. I am actually holding this hill. And suddenly little Krishna, tilted his finger and the whole hill was shaking. And then Madhumangal, no, he also got scared. So, should the Sakiras, they think, Krishna kon, tumi kon bada? Ami tumi sama, tumi ami sama. So this is a pure affection in the Sakiras by which Krishna comes under control. Now the highest ras after Sakya is Vatsalya is there, then the Madhuri ras. Priya yadi man kare ha barsana, Veda stuti haite, hare say moramana. So here, what is Krishna saying? If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, they tease Krishna. That steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Veda stuti hoite hare, say moraman. Even the Vedic stutis, like all the demigods along with Brahma, go to the Shir Sagar and offer the Purusha Sukta prayers. Sahastra Shirsha Purusha, that doesn't, so much attract Krishna as, the beloved who reproaches Krishna. And, we cannot imitate these pure affections at this highest level in conjugal love. All this is done in order to give happiness to Krishna. And this kind of, Vraj Bhakti practiced by the Vraj gopis, this actually what? Say Mora Man, Hare Mora Man. This is what attracts Krishna. This is what Krishna is saying here. So here, we saw Premaras Niryas is what? This is what Krishna had come to relish. Karite Aswadan. All these other four rasas are there, but the highest is the Madhurya ras. Ei Shuddha Bhaktilan, Karimo Avatar, Karive Vivida Vidha, Adbhuta Vihar, Vaikunta Adya Nahi, Ei Lila Prachar, Sei Lila Karibe, Yatamora Chamatkar. Taking these pure devotees with me, Ei Shuddha Bhaktalan, Karime Avatar, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways. Karibe Vividha Vidha Adbhuta Vihar. Vaikunta Adya Nahi Ye Lila Prachar. Unknown even in Vaikunta. So please note down that even the residents of Vaikunta have no knowledge of Krishna's pastimes which happen in Golok. And even when Krishna comes in this world, the original form of Krishna, and performs his Vrindavan pastimes, even the Vaikunta residents have no understanding of what actually is the rasa or relationship, or what rasa Krishna is relishing with the Vrajbasis, because they are situated in Aishwarya Gyan and they cannot understand this Madhurya Gyan or sweetness, where Krishna is considered as his friend, lover, and his son. So this kind of Raga Bhakti, even the Vaikuntha Vasis have no access to it. Unknown even in Vaikunta, I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. Say Sila Leela Karibe, Yate Mora Chamatkar. Even I will be amazed by such pastimes. So this is what Prema Rasaniriya's explanation is there in these few verses. So again here, this Raga Bhakti, which is practiced by Brajbasis, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us. There are these four rasas, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And the topmost, Unnata Ujjvala rasa, is the Madhurya ras, the Parikya ras. This is the real purpose why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give to the most fallen souls of Kali Yuga. And this is brought out in these verses. And there is one famous verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 8, in the Rai Ramanand discussion, verse 70. So we will recite this verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriterna Labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness term, which was coined by Prabhupada, the inspiration is from this, this line of this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mati means consciousness. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. International Society for Krishna Conscious, to be always conscious of Krishna. So Prabhupada picked up from this verse. Kriyatam yadi kuto pi labhyate. If this kind of bhakti ras, prema bhakti, pure devotional prasav is practiced by the raga bhakti, by the pure devotees of Rajbasis, cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives. Janma kotir sukritir na labhyate. It can be attained only by paying one price. Tatra laulyam api mulanam ekalam. That is intense greed to be obtained. To obtain it, we have to have that intense greed. When we come to the definition of Raganuga Bhakti, one of the qualifications is there has to be greed to follow in the footsteps of Rajbasis to practice Raganuga Bhakti. So this is the main qualification, that intense greed. What is that intense greed? We will look into it. If it is available somewhere, kutopi labhyate, one should purchase it without delay. Kriyatam yadi. Somewhere it is available, purchase it. So for us as sadhakas who are practicing sadhana bhakti, we should have intense greed. Wherever there is a lecture on Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, wherever there is a sannyasi who is speaking on Krishna Katha, Kunti Maharani's prayers, or Krishna's pastimes, whomever we have a lot of taste, whom we get inspiration to hear Krishna Katha, we should have certain kind of eagerness at least in practicing while we are practicing sadhana bhakti. But this intense greed, what it is, which is one of the qualifications for practicing Raganuga Bhakti, we will definitely look into. So this is a very beautiful verse, because this verse sets the scene where, Rai Ramanand is been asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pado Shlok Sadhyara Nirnay. Recite one slok which speaks about the highest goal. And only when Ramanand Rai quoted Jnane Prayasam, that is when a person gives up all other path and just starts hearing Krishna Katha, the Lord who is Ajita becomes conquered. That means he starts practicing bhakti. Then, Eo hi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, okay, this is okay, please speak further. Aage kaho aar. And then he says Prema Bhakti. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, speak more. So when he says, then, Rai Ramanand quotes this verse. He speaks about the Prema Bhakti now in practice in Braj, in Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and the highest Madhurya. So first he speaks about Dasya Ras. He says, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, speak more. Then he speaks about Sakya Ras. Aage kaho more. Then he speaks about Vatsalya. This is good. Speak more. Then he speaks about Madhurya Ras. And then within Madhurya, he goes more deep there. That discussion is there in the Madhya Leela chapter 8. So here in this commentary, Prabhupada says, this verse is included in the Padyavali, an anthology compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Padyavali is the verses which are composed by Rupa Goswami. There is many songs also which are composed in this Padyavali. Verse 69 refers to devotional service in faith, and verse 70 refers to devotional service rendered out of intense greed. So previous to this 70th verse, Krishna Bhakti, Bhavita Bhakti, there is another verse which speaks about devotion rendered in faith, Vaidhi Bhakti, But this Bhakti is practiced out of intense greed, Laulyam as it is mentioned. The first is devotional service rendered in accordance with the regulative principles, Vidhi Marg. And the second refers to spontaneous loving service of the Lord without extraneous endeavor. There is a Vidhi Marg and the Raga Marg. The Raga Marg or the Raga Bhakti is practiced, as I was mentioning, made it very clear, by the eternal associates of the Lord in Vrindavan, in Golok Vrindavan. That is called as Raga Bhakti or the spontaneous devotion service. Henceforward, the basic principle underlining the talks between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramanand Rai will be spontaneous loving service to Lord Krishna. So Raga Bhakti is the discussion practiced by the Vrajvasis, and that is the discussion, as I was mentioning. The regulative principles, according to the injunctions of the Shastras, are necessary insofar as one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is not spontaneously awakened. So we also, when we take up to devotion by coming in the association of devotees, we practice Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti. Within Sadhana Bhakti, we practice Vaidhi Bhakti. And slowly, slowly by practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, when the heart gets purified, there is some spontaneity which awakens. Now, please note this natural spontaneity or attraction to practice bhakti, without any enforcement, and there is natural attraction to a kind of particular mood to practice bhakti. This is not raga bhakti. Please understand. The raga bhakti is practiced by the eternal associates of Vrindavan. And there is some spontaneous attraction to these eternal associates who are situated in that mood. Like we are attracted to maybe Sridhama or Sudhama, and we would like to follow in their footsteps. There is a small greed which has awakened in the heart because of the purification of the heart by practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So with Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti practice, slowly one graduates to Raganuga Bhakti. We will come to that in our future discussions, how this happens. An example of spontaneous action is the flowing of rivers into the ocean. Nothing can stop this flow of river. This is exemplified in Kuntini's prayers. Twai me ananya vishaya madhupate sakrit ratin udvati adya ganga yogam udanvati. Twai me ananya vishaya. Let my consciousness be fixed only on you. Mati madhupate. Mati, my consciousness is fixed on what? Madhupate. O Lord of the Madhupates. And how? Ratim udvati. Rati means attraction or spontaneous attraction. Adya. Gange ogum udanvati. Just like the Ganga, spontaneously flows to the ocean. Similarly, once dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, it spontaneously flows to the lotus feet of Krishna without impediment. So those who are premi bhaktas, who are perfected devotees, they are called as actually ragatmika bhaktas. They practice this spontaneous devotion towards Krishna, the eternal associates of Vrindavan, the Vraj bhaktas in the spiritual world. That is spontaneous devotion. Whatever will be spoken henceforth by Ramanand Rai, based on spontaneous love, will be agreeable to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord will ask him more and more about this subject. So, as I mentioned, the Lord will speak more and more about this, further in this discussion. So, these are the few points we discussed from this first theme in the first part. That is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to the best of the Kalyugas, Anarpitam verse, and Premaras Niryas, and Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Mati. So any questions, any clarifications you have regarding what we discussed? There is one question from Prem. Any other questions you have? Let us see, where is Prem here? Okay. Okay. Prem has one question. Let us see. Does one remain in same rasa forever? If not, how does rasa change with body, or where Krishna associates with his devotees? Does it mean, for example, that Vaikuntha residents will never experience Rag Bhakti and Rasas? Okay, let us first take up this one question. Does one remain in same rasa forever? If not, how does rasa change with body, or where Krishna associates with the devotees. Now, please, the science of rasa is a very deep subject, and we have to have some fundamental knowledge about rasa. And first, to understand, does one remain in the same rasa forever? The spiritual rasa, which we don't have much experience about, and that's why through our limited perception and understanding, we try to understand these concepts which are completely on the transcendental platform. The spiritual rasa, like for Hanuman, he is situated in Das rasa, and Hanuman also has a knowledge and understanding that there are higher rasas, but Hanuman is fully satisfied in his dasarasa. And this dasarasa is not stagnant like what we see the rasa in this world. It ever goes on increasing to higher and higher levels. So there is no satiation in spiritual rasa. And for a devotee who is situated eternally in dasarasa, for him, he is satisfied in himself. And the Lord is unlimited, and the Lord is particularly exchanging rasa with each and every individual and jiva. The Lord is uniquely available to him. This is the beauty of Krishna. And Krishna does that when he expands himself in the Ras Leela, because he dances with each and every gopi. And when he marries also in Dwarka, he marries to 16,108 queens, and is individually available because he expands himself. So the devotee who is situated in one particular rasa, he is fully satisfied in it. Although he might have knowledge about higher rasas, but he is satisfied in himself. So this is one thing we have to understand. Now, again, rasa does not change with the body. The spiritual rasa is on the transcendental platform. And we are speaking about bodies where there is mundane rasa, that is exchange of, rasa in the form of, having wonderful items. We sometimes when we sit for eating even prasad, and we relish something nice, we say, oh, last time this item what was offered was very nice. So we are experiencing rasa at a mundane level. And even in our relationships, the rasa is temporary and it ends with the body. So, but the rasa, which is to do with the soul, that continues to the next life. So the rasa has nothing to do with the body. This is the second point to be understood. And now the third point is, does it mean, for example, that the Vaikuntha residents will never experience Rag, Bhakti and Rasas? The Vaikuntha devotees are also situated in rasa. There is 2.5 rasas that is mentioned in Vaikuntha. There is Shantras, there is Dasiras most predominantly, and as I mentioned, there is half. Half means there is a little intimacy in the dasas, of a little bit friendship, like the very intimate associates like Garuda, who fan the Lord, who intimately serve the Lord, So, they cannot, they can never think, the Vaikuntha Vasis can never think of, putting their arm around the Lord Narayan, and walking together. So, this is the kind of rasa which is experienced in Vaikuntha. And the Vaikuntha Vasis are fully situated in this Aishwarya Gyan that the Lord is a Prabhu and I am his servant, I am his Dasa. So this is predominant in the Vaikuntha, and that's why Krishna is speaking about this, Nahi Mora Prita. I'm not, I don't become subservient to this kind of love. So all over the world, in Vaikuntha world, Aishwarya Jnana Bhakti is practiced. But this Raga Bhakti is only practiced or only known in Vrindavan, in Golok, practiced by the Brajvasis. And this is revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to us. So this is the first question answer. The second question is, even today Brajvasis treat or call Krishna as their boy next door, through, though with great love. How does this continue generations after generations? Now the Brajvasis are very, very special devotees. We cannot understand even today. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years back also, he had instructed Jagannath Pandit when he wanted to visit Vrindavan. He even told his eternal associate Jagdanand Pandit, who had come to participate in the Lord's pastimes, told him not to stay in Vrindavan for more than 3 days, and don't much communicate with the Brajvasis. You cannot understand the Brajvasis' mood of how they treat Krishna. You know, so they have a very intimate relationship with Krishna. Krishna to hamara आदमी, हमारा घर का आदमी, So this is how they treat, and for us it is safe, to because we might have some misjudgment about it or misunderstanding about it. We cannot understand their mood. It's better to maintain a distance with them, and if at all we get some exchange of talks, we can exchange the talks, or we get some mercy by get some prasad, we should have that. So Brajbasis, even now, today, and what Mahaprabhu told 500 years, we cannot estimate their glory, because they are all born in Braj. So they are very, very special. So, Mahaprabhu has advised us, not to stay in Vrindavan and not to intimately associate with the Brajbasis. So we should follow Mahaprabhu's order in this context, I would say. And rare occasion where we get some mercy and exchange in the form of prasad and some talks, yes, we can do that. But their explanations, their talks about Braj Bhakti, neither we can fathom nor we can understand. Likelihood is we'll misunderstand. And I myself have experienced on few occasions, with my interactions with Brajvasis, and I have taken a little, stand of not to maintain a distance with Brajvasis. Of course, if we have very close friends who are Brajvasis and we have a long relationship, and then we get to hear from them, then it is good. But their mood of worship we cannot understand, and better to maintain a safe distance. So that is my understanding about the Brajvasis today. So any other questions? You can raise your hands. We can take up another question if you have anyone. You've just shot 6 minutes away from, 8:15 we are supposed to finish. But I would like to take few more minutes if anyone has any questions to ask. Okay, fine. Then tomorrow evening we'll meet at the same time, and we will discuss this division overview of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, discuss the previous concepts, and then we will start beginning to discuss the definition of Raganuga Bhakti. So tomorrow we will take up that. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.